Magavanan, folks. It's me, once again, your friendly neighborhood integral solver. And today we have the integral from 0 to infinity of e to the minus x squared times sine squared x squared over x squared dx. And this is actually a spin on one of my most famous videos. And we have this really cool Gaussian term thrown in there with a Dirichlet type function. Everything is squared. This looks absolutely ridiculous. The solution is cool, and the result is surprisingly beautiful. But the question remains, how on earth are we going to approach this thing? Well, this type of integral looks like the ideal candidate to apply Feynman's trick of differentiating under the integral sign. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And the first step is to define an integral function I of some parameter alpha. So I of alpha, we'll define it as the integral from 0 to infinity. And it is tempting to add the parameter to the argument of the exponential function, and that is valid and will yield the correct result. But in my opinion, for this case, for this integral that is, the solution is a lot nicer if I place the argument here in the sine function. Place the parameter there in the argument of the sine function. Again, math is a lot easier than talking. I've always said this, and I will continue saying it. So we have e to the minus x squared times sine squared of alpha x squared over x squared dx. And of course, the plan is to differentiate this thing with respect to the alpha parameter. So on the left-hand side, it's a no-brainer. We'll have I prime of alpha. And on the right, we have the derivative with respect to alpha of the integral from 0 to infinity of e to the minus x squared times sine squared alpha x squared over x squared dx. And of course, the golden question is whether or not we can switch up the order of the integration and differentiation operators. And that's pretty straightforward over here. If we look at the absolute value of e to the minus x squared times sine squared alpha x squared, that is terribly sorry about that, over x squared, and actually we don't even need the absolute values because e to the negative x squared is non-negative, sine squared and x squared are again non-negative. So this thing is less than or equal to sine squared of alpha x squared over x squared. And from our knowledge of Dirichlet functions, and in this case Dirichlet type functions, we know that the integral from 0 to infinity of the right-hand side will converge. Hence, our integrand is absolutely convergent on the interval from 0 to infinity, and we can indeed switch up the order of the operators. So by the Leibniz rule, we have the integral from 0 to infinity of the partial derivative with respect to alpha of e to the minus x squared times, terribly sorry about that, times sine squared of alpha x squared over x squared dx. Now, of course, we're differentiating partially with respect to alpha, so we can ignore the x terms for differentiating anyway, and we have the integral from 0 to infinity of e to the minus x squared over x squared times, differentiating the sine yields 2 sine of alpha x squared due to the power rule. We have a cosine term that's the derivative of the sine function. And because of the chain rule, we have to differentiate alpha x squared with respect to alpha, of course, yielding another x squared term over here, which cancels out with that pesky x squared in the denominator. So we have I prime of alpha equal to the integral from, terribly sorry about that, again, terribly sorry about that, the integral from 0 to infinity of e to the minus x squared times, this function over here is actually the double angle formula for the sine function. So we have sine of 2 alpha x squared dx, which is dope because we have an exponential times a trig function, and that gives us an excuse to apply Euler's beautiful formula. So we know that the sine of theta is just the imaginary part of e to the I theta. So terribly sorry about that. This implies that I prime of alpha equals the imaginary part of the integral from 0 to infinity of e to the minus x squared times e to the 2I alpha x squared dx. We'll expand the multiplication in the integrand and get the imaginary part of the integral from 0 to infinity, e to the minus x squared factored out, and we have 1 minus 2I alpha integration with respect to x. And this is, of course, a Gaussian integral, which evaluates out to, well, we need a factor of 1/2, and this thing evaluates out to root pi over whatever is being multiplied with x. So we have root pi over 1 minus 2I alpha, which is dope. And of course, root pi is a real number, so I have root pi over 2 times the imaginary part of 1 minus 2I alpha to the negative 1/2, and that is I prime of alpha, which is a function completely of alpha. And I'd now like to recover I of alpha by integrating this with respect to the alpha parameter. Okay, cool. So the result is, of course, root pi over 2 times the imaginary part of the integral of 1 minus 2I alpha to the negative 1/2 d alpha. And this is just a simple application of the power rule. So we have root pi over 2 times, let's see, imaginary part of 1 minus 2I alpha to the 1/2 over 1/2 again, but we would also need a negative 2I term being multiplied. So negative sign outside, and we have 1 over 2I over there, which is nice because the 2's actually cancel out, or the 1/2s actually cancel out. And the result is negative root pi over 2 times the imaginary part. And I never get tired of saying this. 1 over I equal to negative I is just so damn cool, and I can get rid of this negative sign. So we're interested in the imaginary part of I times root, terribly sorry about that, 1 minus 2I alpha. And we have a constant of integration left over, that is I of alpha. But of course, we now need to determine the constant of integration, and for that all we need to do is recall exactly how we defined I of alpha in the first place. So I of alpha here is defined as the integral from 0 to infinity, terribly sorry about that, of e to the minus x squared times sine squared alpha x squared over x squared dx. Now, of course, if I plug in alpha equal to 0, I have sine of 0 and the integrand collapses to 0. So I of 0 is actually 0, which implies here that 0 would be root pi over 2 times the imaginary part of I times root 1, which is 1 last time I checked, plus the constant of integration. The imaginary part of I is, of course, equal to 1, which implies that C here is just negative root pi over 2. And this implies that I of alpha, we can factor out a root pi over 2 term, root pi over 2, that is, and we are left with, well, there's a negative 1, right? Yes, indeed. So we have the imaginary part of I times root 1 minus 2I alpha times, no wait, minus 1. And now would be a good time to recall what exactly was the target case, and I should switch to green, why not? So the target case was, of course, alpha equal to 1. So I of 1, which is the target integral, I equals root pi over 2 times the imaginary part of I times root 1 minus 2I minus 1, and that is exactly what our objective is. Our objective is to uncover the imaginary part of this complex number and then plug it into our result. Okay, cool. So what exactly is 1 minus 2I? This can be written out in the polar form as root 1 plus 2 squared, so that would just be root 5 times e to the I times the arctangent of negative 2 over 1, so that's negative arctangent of 2. So the square root of this thing would be root 5 times e to the negative I over 2 times the arctangent of 2. And of course we need to multiply this by I. So on expanding by I, we have I times 1 minus 2I equal to root 5 times, now e to the I times something can be expanded using Euler's formula. So we have I times the cosine minus I times the sine. Negative I squared would be 1. So the real part of this thing is actually the sine of arctangent of 2 over 2. And the imaginary part would be plus I times cosine of arctangent 2 over 2. And we're interested in the imaginary part, so this implies that the imaginary part of I times root, terribly sorry about that, 1 minus 2I is equal to the cosine of arctangent of 2 over 2. Okay, cool. Now what on earth is that? And I just forgot the factor of root 5, which is quite rootful. Almost too rootful to forget. That was a horrible math pun. Anyway, what was I about to do? Oh yeah, we're trying to evaluate the cosine of arctangent 2 over 2. So let arctangent of 2 equal theta, but that implies that tangent of theta is equal to 2. In other words, you have a right triangle with an acute, that did not look right at all. This looks more right. And I could expand this a little bit, move stuff around, just my OCD kicking in. Nothing to see here, folks. So this is, yeah, pretty much a right triangle. Perpendicular equal to 2, base equal to 1. So the hypotenuse is actually equal to root 5. So that means the sine of theta, rather wait, I'm interested in cosine. The cosine of theta would be 1 over root 5. And I'm actually interested in cosine of theta over 2. So cosine of theta over 2 would be root 1 plus cosine theta over 2. So that sorts out to root 1 plus 1 over root 5 over 2. Expanding this yields root 1 plus root 5 over 2 times root 5. And of course, 1 plus root 5 over 2 is the golden ratio. So that's a surprise appearance by another important constant. And for some reason, I cannot... My handwriting is even worse today for some reason, but perhaps it's because of the new piece of screen real estate. I just upgraded my setup. And this tablet honestly feels just amazing to write on. It's beautiful. This is awesome. Anyway, so this is the result for the cosine of arctangent of 2 over 2. So all of this implies that the target integral I results in... So we had root pi over 2 times the imaginary part of this thing, which is a root 5 times the cosine. So we indeed have root pi over 2 times root 5 times root phi over root 5, and we have some lovely rootful cancellations. And finally, we have the result of our target integral, that is to say the integral from 0 to infinity of e to the minus x squared times sine squared x squared over x squared dx. This thing actually equals 1/2 times root pi times root golden ratio phi minus 1. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you. See you next time.